Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. There were three Battle of Undefeated fighters on the Magnificent Seven Rides Again card, the Queensbury card over in Birmingham. And probably the least interesting, the least exciting was the unanimous decision by Dennis McCann over Brad Strand. I mean, McCann came in with 14 wins, no defeats and a draw against Yannick Baluta. That was in his last fight, I think. And, you know, he's got eight KOs in his wins. Brad Strand came in with 11 wins, only 3 KOs, no draws, no defeats. But I think McCann definitely had fought the better men. This was at super-bantamweight, by the way. And we're talking about Strand. I mean, in his last fight, he picked up a unanimous 10-round decision over Joshua John, who was 8-1 at the time, to pick up a WBO European belt, which I can't stand those damn things. The only European title that matters is the EBU belt. But this one was for the vacant British super-bantamweight title, so a real title on the line, and also the Commonwealth belt was on the line, so 2 legitimate belts. And then there was an intercontinental, another WBO intercontinental thing. Frank Warren, going back to the 90s, has had a very, very good relationship with the WBO. He was one of the promoters that actually elevated the WBO to being one of the so-called top 4 ruling bodies. But all this, so inevitably, you know, if he wants a belt on the line and he's prepared to pay the sanctioning fee, no worries. You know, come over here. We'll pay the fee. We'll slap a belt around the waist of one of my fighters and maybe get him a ranking. But this fight between McCann and Strand, I mean, Strand is an orthodox fighter. 27 years of age, McCann only 23, southpaw. Strand looked taller, but not by a great deal, maybe an inch or two. And there's no doubt that McCann was just sharper in every department. And in the second round, that was illustrated because a right hand to the head put Strand on the floor. It wasn't a flash knockdown. It was a legitimate knockdown. Strand got up and, you know, he was sort of a little bit shaken, but no big deal, no major issue there. But for the subsequent rounds, it sort of developed into every round was pretty much interchangeable. There wasn't a great deal of interest. And McGann was just sort of racking up the rounds. Now, Frank Warren has said, you know, McCann can go all the way. I don't see it myself, but he is only 23. So maybe there's more to come. And he's being brought along very well, as you would expect from a Frank Warren fighter, because, you know, that old traditional route, British Commonwealth, especially if you're young, you're in your early 20s, it's a great way of doing it. The EBU will be next, we hope. And then he can move up to world level. And I think he's being brought along well, but I've got to be honest, nothing really jumps out at me that suggests he's, you know, say a top 5 super bantam. And don't forget that the lower weight, I mean, super bantam at the moment, of course, Inoue is the undisputed champ. You know, God forbid that McCann should be allowed anywhere near him. God forbid most people should be allowed anywhere near him. But once the belts go up in the air in a year or so, you know, perhaps they'll make a run for one of them. But ideally, you want to win the belt and you want to keep it and you want to build a legacy and also make a lot of money. And if anyone can match a fighter well from the grassroots up, you know, take his career from the absolute beginning to world level, it's Frank Warren, because he does it very, very well. He's proven it over and over again, over the years, over the decades, actually. So McCann was sharper than Strand until about the 11th round. It was really weird because at the point where, by the middle round, in the 6th round, by the way, I must point out the 6th round because that was the point where I thought McCann's going to stop this guy. And how did he do it? He'd gone from the knockdown in the 2nd round through to the 5th round winning the rounds, but not really doing a great, not really coming close to stopping the guy. And then what did he do in the 6th round? He went to the body. And how many times do we say, punch to the body, punch to the body? It's the key to the door so often. And he was chopping up Brad Strand. And Strand was, clearly, visibly perturbed by the body punches. He was, he was sagging a bit. He was backing off. And then McCann, he did continue to punch to the body. I mean, Strand showed a lot of guts, an awful lot of guts. But McCann was, I don't know, maybe he almost got bored. He almost seemed like he got bored in there. But he was still winning the rounds until the 10th round. And then for whatever reason, Strand suddenly came to life. And, he got read the riot act by his corner. You've got to knock him out. You've got to do him. And suddenly he was on the front foot, and suddenly he was firing 2s and 3s, and suddenly he was punching first, and he was having the last word in the exchanges. And okay, you can say McCann had maybe lulled himself to sleep, but this was good work from Strand in the 11th round, and the 11th round was one I gave him. Definitely, it was by far his best round, and I thought he won the 12th as well. But it was too little, too late. Now he'll probably look back and say, okay, maybe I could have done a bit earlier. Some of the cards were, Terry O'Connor had, I think, 118, 111. So that was wide. But there were a couple of, 116, 112, 116, 111, something like that. I thought they were a little bit too close because I only gave Strand 2, maybe 3 rounds. I gave him the last 2. Might have given him 1 before, I can't remember which one. But even that one could have gone to McCann. So all in all, I'd say, a good win for McCann against an undefeated guy. He's coming along nicely. Again, he's only 23, plenty of time. But, it's good he's got time on his side because he needs to work on things. He's kind of, it looks to me like he's got that sort of box fighter tag without being great at either, he always goes for the knockout. I wouldn't say he was an absolute, for example, Nick Ball, if you compare him to Nick Ball, who's only 1 division up at feather. Nick Ball, you think, okay, this guy's coming for you, this little fireball, this little 5'2" powder keg, he's coming straight at you. McCann has a sort of slight air of that, but doesn't quite have the power that Nick Ball does, all the real nastiness, the spite. And although McCann boxed, well, and again, he did some good body work in that 6th round. Yeah, he's not the finished article by a long shot, Dennis McCann, but then why would he be at 23? And he's got 2 good belts. He's got 2 legitimate belts, the Commonwealth and the WBC, Commonwealth and the British Boxing Board of Control, the BBB of C belt, the British title. And he's got a WBO thing that probably gets him a ranking, but there's no hurry. There's no hurry at all. So I don't know if you saw this fight, but leave your comments below if you did. And of course, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Hope you're doing well. Not a bad night's boxing this. I'll catch you later, and bye for now.